the 120 days social contract was only a way to deceive and then to buy votes from innocent citizens of this country. There are a lot of families out there who made up the point or took decisions to even enroll their kids even in less academic year. But because of the free tuition that President Mahama added to his 120 days social contract, people had to go and take loans. People had to go and sell important items just to fund their kids. But all these things finally landed as way of deceiving Ghanaians in his way to become president. MULTIMEDIA's contradictory promises of ending double track were Ghanaians misled for votes. In the lead-up of the 2020 elections, the NDC, under the leadership of the former President John Dramani Mahama, made a firm and a clear promise to abolish the double track system introduced under the free senior high school. Sorry, the lead-up of the 2024 elections, not 2020. This promise was not vague or conditional. It was a headline commitment echoed across campaign platforms, media engagements, and the party's own manifesto. The NDC criticized a double-track system as a sign of poor planning and inadequate infrastructure, arguing that it disrupted the academic calendar. So this was their own words. During the day of President Nana Addo, the double track was one of the initiatives from the Ghana Education Service that they implemented, but then it was intended to improve when we came or when we had power in the just ended general election. But because of political power, because of political deception, the NDC added such policy as part of their policies and also 100 days and 20 days in their social contract. The NDC criticized the double track system as a sign of poor planning and inadequate infrastructure, arguing that it disrupted the academic calendar, reduced contract hours, placed stress on teachers and students, and diluted the quality of secondary education. The pledge to swiftly phase it out and replace it with a well-planned, infrastructure-backed single-track system that would restore normalcy and enhance learning outcomes. This promise gave hope to many Ghanaians, parents and educators who were frustrated by the challenges of the system. Ghanaians were assured by several high-ranking members of the NDC of swift and decisive action. Johnson Esiedu Ketia, the then General Secretary and now the Chairman of the NDC, confidently told Ghanaians the system will be ended within the 90 days of the NDC assuming office. That was in 2020 general elections. Dr. Clement Appa, then member of the Education Committee of Parliament and now Deputy Minister of Education, re-echoed this commitment, reinforcing the party's one-year timeline. These statements were made before the elections and served as a central campaign message used to secure the trust and vote of students, parents, and teachers across the country. However, post-elections, the tone and the timeline have drastically shifted. Recently, the Honorable Haruna Idisu, the Education Minister, stated that the double-track system will now be phased by 2027. This is a total deception into power. the youth of Ghana have totally been deceived by the National Democratic Congress. And we as the youth will stand to make sure we make them accountable to each and every policy that was stated in their manifesto. We cannot be misled, we cannot be deceived, and we are rising as youth to protect our rights and to protect whatever that you do us. This dramatic shift raises serious questions about credibility, transparency, political integrity. Was there ever a realistic plan to end this double track within the timeline promised? Or were these campaign messages crafted merely to exploit public frustration and to win votes? And this is what we've witnessed by the National Democratic Congress. We have been totally deceived. 120 days of deception, 120 days of sorrow, 120 days of full deception. And we, as sGotATV, are ready to rise and to make sure the National Democratic Congress is being held accountable. Do so. How long must Ghanaians wait? Ghanaians were promised change, relief, and bold action, especially in the areas of education and infrastructure. Yet today we are confronted not only with broken promises on ending the double class system, but also a resurgence of doomsday, an unrelenting power crisis that is crippling lives, businesses, and education across the country. Doomsday is back. The king of doomsday, Mahama, is back, and it is hitting us hard. The erratic power cuts, now occurring frequently across all regions, have become a daily nightmare. These blackouts are not just an inconvenience. They are destroying livelihoods, undermining productivity, and derailing the future of Ghanaians' youth. Students are unable to study effectively. In an age where most academic research and assignments require stable internet and electricity, doomsday is turning libraries into dark rooms, and that is so funny, and rendering online learning impossible. Students are preparing for exams, are forced to revise under candlelight or miss deadline due to system shutdown. Youth entrepreneurs and small business owners, especially those in digital services, saloons, cold stores, printing shops, and welding, are losing money, client opportunities. Generators are costly and income is shrinking. That is the effect of doomsday back under the administration of President John Dramani Mahama. And the youth of Ghana, sGotATV and sGot at large, is rising to ask John Dramani Mahama to make sure doomsday is being taken care of. Startups and creative industries, which are largely youth-driven, are being suffocated by these power outages. Content creators can't edit or upload their works. We have a lot of content creators in Bangladesh because of doomsday. Whenever they come out to have their content and they are back home to edit stuff, doomsday just comes and then they are unable to proceed. And this is something that we need to look at. Content creators can't edit or upload work. Designers can't meet deadlines. Seamsters can't operate machines. Doomsday is not just a technical problem. It's a youth unemployment accelerator. Hospitals and essential services are being affected too. Freezes with vaccines, emergency safety of Ghanaians. And to add up the insult of injury, the Public Utilities Regulation Commission, PURC, recently approved a 14.75% increment in electricity tariffs. We ask, how can you raise tariffs when there is no power? And one thing that as the youth and as president of Accra University have been observed, the promises to cancel such taxes such as the e-levies, the betting taxes was just a strategy. And this strategy, watching Honorable Samuel made in his statement that such taxes that were cancelled was as a way to accumulate and to increase it, putting a burden on electricity and water. So looking at his calculations or looking at the taxes that were cancelled, when you sum all up, it is even more lower than what we're experiencing. That is the 14.75 increment on electricity combined. We have been deceived. The government continues to deny, to deflect, leaving citizens in dark. Literally and figuratively, our message to the president is that fix it now. We call on President John Dramani Mahama and his administration to stop silence, speak and blame games. The time for excuses is over. The Ghanaian people are suffering and the youth are losing faith in the very institution meant to support them. We demand a public load shedding timetable so citizens can plan their lives and businesses. The 24-hour economy, a promise that missed its marks. The 24-hour economy policy was touted by the government as a transformative initiative that will propel Ghana into a new era of economic productivity and job creation. The narrative surrounding this policy suggested that by allowing businesses to operate around the clock, the country would generate employment opportunities, attract investment, and elevate Ghana's global standing. And we all know how the 24-hour economy was their main manifesto and their main policy that they wanted to initiate, giving the intention or giving the impression that they are the only government or they have the solution to employment. But what happened? There was a mass dismissal. A mass dismissal that hit the country. A mass dismissal that took a lot of people into sorrow. The president of the Republic of Ghana promised a 24-hour economy, promised the youth of Ghana, promised the whole nation, and because of that, people queued to vote for him. The 24-hour economy has just been a fallacy. The 24-hour economy is just a major deceptive and a major deception policy to gain public trust and to gain votes from ordinary Ghanaians. Dismissal, going contrary to promising a 24-hour economy that will create employment, and instead becoming a president, being sworn in office, and mass dismissal occurred. And we are telling the president, the youth that have been dismissed from their workplace are crying, are becoming jobless, and these same youths will go out there to engage in crime because we are taking away their main income from them. We are asking the president, John Dramani Mahama, to rethink about this decision and to give the youth back their employment. However, months since the swearing in of the president, the policy remains unlaunched and the policy document is nowhere to be seen. What was once presented as a critical plan to modernize Ghana's economy is now nothing more than a distant hope, shrouded in confusion and lack of clarity. In the meantime, the hope of job creation through this initiative has turned into disappointment. Rather than witnessing an expansion of employment, many Ghanaians have been faced with mass layoff, particularly in the public sector. These cuts have directly impacted thousands of public workers, leaving them without income, security, and job prospects. The 24-hour economy was supposed to be a beacon of progress, offering expanded opportunities for the youth, entrepreneurs, and industries, particularly in sectors like manufacturing, services, and retail. Yet, despite the grand promise, there has no clear strategy. There is no clear strategy. There is nothing even like the 24-hour economy. Until now, a clear plan has not even been initiated. A clear plan has not even been brought forward to Parliament. And this is sad. And the youth of Ghana rising up to demand accountability in respect to the 24-hour economy from the President of Mahama. While we understand that policy implementation takes time, the lack of action and transparency regarding the 24-hour economy initiative has both alarming and disappointing. What was supposed to be a well-thought-out plan is now simply a vague concept that fails to materialize. While we understand that policy implementation takes time, the lack of action and transparency regarding the 24-hour economy initiative has been both alarming and disappointing. What was supposed to be a well-thought-out plan is now simply a vague concept that fails to materialize. Where still, public sector workers are left to cope with the effect of austerity measures, while the youth and businesses are forced to deal with the fallout of government that has made unable to deliver on its promises. The fact that there is still no policy document, no concrete details, and no official announcement about how the policy will be structured or rolled out suggests that this ambitious plan may have been more about political posturing than actual policy execution. The country needs real, practical policies that are grounded in reality. The 24-hour economy policy, as it stands, is a far-fetched dream that has failed to provide any roadmap or tangible benefits to the people it promised to help. And in the meantime, students, workers, and businesses are suffering the consequences of a government that continues to delay the launch of the policies that are meant to change the lives of ordinary Ghanaians. Suppression of free speech, an alarming trend undermining youth confidence. In a disturbing escalation of state power, the recent raid on the home of Reverend Ntibotjo and the arrest of outspoken activists for Kateche Efrifa have sent shockwaves through Ghana's democratic community. These acts clearly targeting individuals for expressing dissenting views are an affront to freedom guaranteed under Ghana's constitution and a direct threat to the foundational values of democracy. Teston ATU strongly condemns this act. In any democratic society, and I repeat, in any democratic society, free speech, dissent, and whistle blowing are not crimes. These are never crimes. They are livelihood of accountability and civic participation. Whistleblowing in particular is not a privilege to be granted at the government's convenience. It is a constitutional right and a democratic duty, especially when it exposes wrongdoing of public office. The silencing of critical voices, particularly those who speak truth to power, sends a chilling message to the entire nation, especially to the youth of Ghana, who have always stood at the forefront of advocacy, reform, and national progress. Young Ghanaians are watching. We are witnessing a political climate where freedom of expression is increasingly criminalized, and boldness is punished instead of reward. This creates a dangerous precedent, one in which our generation is being conditioned to fear rather than to lead. Now, what message does it send to? One, the young journalist who wants to investigate corruption. Young journalists are now scared to even express their freedom of speech. Young journalists and activists are scared even if something is going wrong, or even if an act from the government goes wrong. There is fear and panic in the youth of Ghana. And as the youth, we are demanding that the president of Mahama looks into this and give each and every Ghanaian freedom of speech as our constitution states. Second, what message does this send to the student leader who wants to organize peaceful protests or campus? So as a student leader like myself, because of fear and panic, I'll be so scared to even stand in front to address the press. And this is where our democracy has gotten to. This is where the democracy of Ghana has gotten to, putting fear and panic in the youth of this country, in activists and in young journalists. Thirdly, the activists who dream of holding government accountability. Instead of nurturing active citizenship, this environment threatens